Today we're going to be talking about the transfer of learning theory and how it applies to just learning a skill or an ability and then passing that on. So first we're going to define it. Transferring what you know to a new situation in order to learn it is basically what we're working with. How do we do that? Well, first of all, there's the traditional manner, and then there's going to be metacognition, and then we're going to be going into the near and far and high and low. So traditional manner is learning as you go. Metacognition is thinking about how you're thinking, and then the near and far is comparison of how similar or not it is, especially compared to high and low. So the traditional method is integrating new knowledge into the skills of what we currently have in order to figure out something like crossing the street. When you learn to cross the street, you learn to look both ways. Well, that can pass over sometimes into being in a more dangerous area and having to look because it's a one-way street or because there's more traffic, etc., etc. So it's a similar situation. Every time you cross the street, there's something that can come and can hit you. You want to make sure that you're taking in your new information, such as time of day. Are there lights? What kind of cars? What kind of people in the area? Which way is the traffic flowing? How many lanes am I crossing? That's all the new information that you take in little by little. So then there is metacognition. So this is learning in such a way about how you are learning. The big thing here is going to be the process of thinking and understanding. Now, this needs an awareness of knowledge, an awareness of thinking, and an awareness of thinking strategies. This basically boils down to thinking how to do something as opposed to just thinking what to do. Now, metacognition comes in as far as teaching how to learn. Best example of this is teaching a man how to fish rather than just giving him a fish. Because if you give him a fish, he's going to learn, oh, if I come to you, you'll help me and give me a fish. If you teach him how to fish, he will now apply that information and he'll learn how to do something. So the next time he needs something, instead of saying, hey, can you give this to me? He'll think, maybe I can go learn how to do it instead. So that way it has a longer benefit for me instead of just a short-term benefit. Now, there are two different models for this. There's the near and far, which is based upon a nature versus nurture argument, which that comes down to the principle of, are you learning because you understand it and it's a near subject, such as tying a shoe and then tying a bow on a present. It's both tying, it's a similar process. That would be a near transfer. Whereas a far transfer could be something that's a little bit more difficult because it's explained as anything that isn't near. This could be tying a bow on your shoes or your shoelaces and then having to tie a bow behind your back, for example. Because your hands are in a different orientation than they were previously, you may not understand. The muscle memory may be different. The mental cognition may be recognizing in a different way. So that would be a far kind of transfer of energy or of learning, because while you're still able to do it, you don't know how to do it with your hands behind your back in a different position. So that's where the nurturing comes in, where you have to learn what you're doing in a different way. Now, this is different than the high-low road, which is similar to how similar former task is to what you're learning currently. So, example earlier I gave with crossing the road. Well, let's pretend you're in a different country. It could be a road that is dirt as opposed to asphalt or concrete or vice versa. And so you would be able to say this is a road when you could apply the knowledge that you understand from there over. Because you know how to cross a road, even though it's not a road you've crossed before, you would know how to cross that road. A high road would take an abstract amount of information, and that would be extrapolating and understanding. Now, the difference is the high road, low road has become more accurate in describing the processes of which they are. Now, this comes into effect with tools. Are tools helping or hurting us? And the basic answer is it depends on the tool, because some of these tools can come in, and a good example would be a car. A car can help you travel a greater distance than you could ever get running. You could learn everything you need to about running, about the process of running, and about how to be cardiovascularly fit. You're never going to outrun a car, though. You're never going to be as efficient and as effective as a car. So these tools allow us to advance and transfer. Now, are they bad? they can also hurt us too, because in the sense of computers, for example, when you type on a computer, your mind is not mentally recording the information in the same way as it is handwritten. Now, can you transfer digital information a lot easier? Yes, you can. Handwritten information is a lot harder to transfer, even with a scanner, even with reading comprehension skills, of being able to uh, read and see cursive, different writing styles. But the digital is a lot easier to transfer. But digital, when you type, your brain does not retain the information in the same way as writing. So is that negative? Is that positive? Well, the jury's still kind of out on this. It can benefit you, but it can also hinder you overall. Whereas something like a book is a great tool when it comes to reading and when it comes to understanding comprehension, because different books can relay different sides of the same piece of information. So power tools, same thing. They can make you do a process faster, but they may not be able to help you in the sense of you understand quite as well. So thank you, and I hope that you understand a little bit more in terms of the theory of transfer of learning.